Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Luke Innes here. I've got another horror movie review for you today. So today I'm going to be reviewing the David Cronenberg directed and written movie Videodrome. The film stars James Woods and Deborah Harry. The plot essentially follows a guy called Max Wren who runs a CDTV station called Civic TV, a sort of cable late night thing that specialises in softcore porn and extreme violence. Essentially what happens is that Max comes into contact with a pirate signal for a show called Videodrome. He's fascinated by it, wants to broadcast it on Civic TV, but it turns out Videodrome's quite dangerous. It transmits a signal that will affect your brain, and once it has affected your brain it will cause severe hallucinations and eventually make changes to your body. Max Wren essentially goes through these changes as he tries to find out exactly what's going on and why and how he can stop it. I think the first thing that I've got to say about Videodrome before I go into the film itself is that I am a David Cronenberg fan. I think a lot of horror fans really appreciate his work, and the fact that his movies really, they're thinking man's horror, I think is the fairest way to assess them. And Videodrome is no exception. Videodrome is a very dense movie that does not hold your hand for you. Videodrome, to be honest, is Videodrome's a way more interesting film than it might initially seem. It initially seems like quite a sort of disjointed, slightly confused effort, but it is a lot more than that. Cronenberg kind of takes the idea and the approach that film in itself is a hallucination, and what happens if the hallucination becomes more vivid and sort of becomes tactile. Quite a big topic at the time was just how can what you watch on screen affect you on a mental level, and Videodrome takes that one step further. It sort of looks at that through kind of a metaphor for kind of the impact that people were talking about video having on the mind. What if that manifests physically? And Videodrome is essentially all about the signal changing the way you think in a way that media can, and it kind of talks about stimulation through video, and kind of living vicariously through video. Ultimately it questions what impact that has on a person, and that's the most interesting thing about Videodrome. Obviously it does this in an exaggerated way, but that's all a part of the illusion, I suppose. I've got to say, Videodrome is beautifully directed. Every shot feels perfectly staged. Every decision that was taken in terms of direction was perfect. The film is edited within an inch of its life. Honestly, it's acted perfectly. Debbie Harry's great in it. James Woods is great in it. And I've got to say that the basics, concept and story is so twisted and turning, and you know, this film gets the tone totally right for the script. You know, as the plot becomes increasingly erratic, so does the film. And that's one of the great achievements of Videodrome, I've really got to say. To be honest, there are bits and pieces about Videodrome that I am not overly keen on. They're mainly nitpicks. The film does have some filmmaking cliches. Well, to be honest, it's only really one. And that's the fact that there are some scenes where Max is recalling what people have said to him, you know, dialogue from earlier in the film that's repeating in a sort of like a slightly reverby version as thoughts in his head, you know, and that's kind of feels like, well, it's been done before. But then, you know, thinking about it a little bit further, isn't that kind of a little bit more relevant than we may have thought? It's almost like a reference to the, you know, the hallucination of video, and the fact that, you know, it's kind of, you know, we live vicariously, we can get inside a character's head through video. Which is ultimately what Videodrome's all about. You know, Videodrome is a profoundly confusing movie, but it doesn't confuse you for its own sake. I'd say that this movie, I mean, in my own experience, I know that it's not for everyone. I've had people tell me they don't like this movie, they don't think it's a good movie, and they've given perfectly good arguments, not arguments that have ever swayed me, of course. I've since the first time I saw this film, I thought it was great. So I mean, you know, this is the thing. I'm aware that this is a movie that that some people will not like. Overall, I think Videodrome is easily worthy of a 9 out of 10. It is a beautifully constructed film that takes more than one watch, but once you get there, you will kind of see that there is an awful lot going on with this movie that can't really be summed up in a short little video like I'm trying to do here. There's plenty of amazing critiques and readings of Videodrome here on YouTube. I'll try to find a few and link them in the description so that you can check those out if you're interested in a more academic approach to Videodrome than this video, which is really just me saying I like it, you should go and see it. I'm a bit of a tard. I can't I can't really do that sort of thing. But as always, it's been a pleasure to talk to you, ladies and gentlemen. Please go and check out Videodrome. Also, while on the subject, go and check out my podcast. There's a link in the description. It's called Ironcast. If you're into music, you need to check it out. It's my pride and joy. It's the ultimate thing that I invest time in terms of creating content for the internet, which I love doing. This channel is all about promoting Ironcast. I say that every video, just so you know, this is not about integrity. See you later, ladies and gentlemen.